My bad. You can,
Okay.
you can shoot me a text or DM me, either one.
All right, you guys want to do
the?
You want to do the Pope Francis errors are causing many invalid confessions? Do you want to
Yeah.
do?
Let's do that, because I did not read that article, and I'm very interested to see what his argument is. I'm really interested.
It's pretty far up, Rob, because we were going to do that Tuesday.
I have it.
Okay. All right.
I'll just say, like, I understand the argument here. I don't agree with the thesis that it's Francis really causing the invalid confessions, but I get what he's saying.
Okay, let's see. All right, so Pope Francis's errors are something unheard of for the Catholic Church, with the sacraments being invalidly or sacrilegiously administered under the direction of the Pope himself, causing colossal scandal and damage to souls. Pope Francis, I hate when they put that in the title and then they make you reread it.
I thought you were about to say, I hate those Italian names. I can never
I do hate those Italians. Don Tullio Rotondo, author of the book Betrayal of Sound Doctrine through Amoris Laetitia, is raising the alarm that any attempt by a priest to grant absolution and confession without a penitent expressing sorrow for all mortal sins committed, which must be confessed, must all be confessed, or without the penitent's firm intention to avoid sin in the future, are not valid confessions. Don Rotondo warns that Pope Francis's instructions to priests to never refuse absolution therefore runs contrary to Catholic teaching on what is required in the sacrament for actual forgiveness of sins, and is likely causing many confessions to be invalid. In a recent video, the priest said that in his book, he states that Pope Francis's errors are certainly causing many invalid confessions, that is, which do not forgive sins despite the priest administering absolution. So in Amoris Laetitia, Francis says, even if you're divorced and you haven't received an annulment, you can discern with your priest whether or not you can receive communion, even if you are still having marital relations with your new spouse. That has always been the issue. That how are you having relations with your new spouse, in quotes, because you're still married to your previous spouse. So how are you in this adulterous relationship having marital relations when you shouldn't be and still receive absolution? That was always the question.
Yeah, I'm actually curious, Rob. It sounded almost like you had a really nuanced answer, because I want to give you your chance before I give my thoughts.
So I would say Pope Francis, from the way this is worded, that's obviously that saying that is wrong, right? Because confession, absolution should not always be given. Obviously, that's just what the church has always taught. But I would say that those confessions would have been invalid anyways. You know what I mean? Like,
you're saying it's not Pope Francis's fault,
right? Those people are, number one, I would argue many people who are not actually contrite for their sins probably aren't going to confession all that often anyways. But those who do, they're doing it regardless. And whether the priest gives, obviously it's a bad thing for a priest to not to tell them, hey, you have to be sorry, or whether I give you absolution or not, this confession is invalid, right? You don't receive the absolution if you're not sorry anyways. Like, the priest should be telling them that so that they learn to be contrite for their sins. But saying that Francis is causing invalid confessions.
Yeah, I could see an argument for both. I think, I guess my thoughts are, I agree with you 1000%. Pope Francis saying always forgive. He also had, you guys might remember that statement he famously said where he says he's never withheld absolution from any penitent that's ever come to the confessional. Like, that is moral theology 101 error. You have to withhold for repetitive sinners who especially don't show a sincere amendment of life for their own good. You see this in John chapter 20, when our Lord gives that power to the apostles. He says, whoever sins you forgive are forgiven, and whoever sins are retained are retained. It's not just a catchy phrase. It is an actual duty to save their soul, because if you're continuing to absolve them, they're going to dig themselves further and further into sacrilegious confessions. But I think maybe what the priest is specifically saying is he's saying that this whole moral theology push that Pope Francis has pushed destroys any notion of true contrition of sins and amendment of life.
Yes.
Because if everything is just a discernment, then there's no longer an objective reality of like, I've crossed this line, I've, committed adultery, etc., and I need to go to confession. And so I guess I could see it both ways, but yeah, in either way, yes, I would say it's causing a lot of invalid confessions. And two, I would point out to people, if you go back and you watch some videos around the time of Pentecost, do you guys remember how the Vatican changed the form for the Holy Eucharist for the Pentecost liturgies at the Vatican? They switched it back to that old translation of "for you and for all" when it came to the consecration of the blood, which has always been doubtful. Check
That's
every
why
single.
Benedict changed it in the first place.
Exactly. And this is what's funny. The Society of St. Pius X for decades pointed out how in translations it always said "for you and for all," and that was a problem, that it needs to be "for you and for many." And they got, lambasted over it, you bad rad trads. Well, then Benedict, of course, swaps it back. And now it's been reversed. Pope Francis has reversed that even for some large bishops' conferences. For instance, in Italy, they've completely reversed that. And so I'm not saying it's invalid, but I'm saying that it's at least doubtful, which is already a major concern.
He also let them change the words to the Our Father in Italy for
the Italian
lead us not
translation.
into temptation. Right now the reason I'm going to say, look, you're dealing with priests who are under the authority of the Pope, and the Pope is advising them to do this. Now, Amoris Laetitia is wishy-washy language. It's wormy, and it doesn't specifically say when that discernment can actually be held. But I don't see how.
I think this priest is talking about more recent comments from Francis, though.
Okay,
not just what's in Amoris.
Okay. Laying out basic Catholic teaching on confession, he continued, if contrition is lacking, absolution is invalid and the sins remain unforgiven. For there to be true contrition in order to make a valid confession, a true intention not to sin and a true intention to avoid imminent occasions of sin are needed. Unfortunately, the errors of Pope Francis affect both the intention not to sin and the intention to escape the next occasions of sin, therefore determine invalid absolutions and invalid confessions, that is, which do not forgive sins. In some cases, Pope Francis has indicated or ordered priests to always absolve the penitent using negative terms for confessors who do not give absolution. This is radically contrary to Catholic doctrine and produces invalid absolutions. Admonishing fellow priests about the grave sinfulness of attempting to absolve sinners without contrition, Don Rotundo insisted, if the penitent does not have the appropriate disposition, he cannot be absolved. Any absolution is invalid. Furthermore, confessing guilt without contrition is sacrilege, an objectively very serious sin. Guiltily administering a sacramental absolution to those without contrition is sacrilege. The Italian priest further accused Pope Francis of repeatedly making statements that minimize or eliminate the need for a precise accusation of sins, which again, confession is invalid. Don Rotundo said he feared that many confessors, precisely for fear of going against the Pope and against the bishop, faithful to papal errors, avoid asking questions and denying absolution to indisposed penitents. It is to be feared that if any confessor currently asks appropriate questions in confession or denies absolution when necessary, he will be deprived due to the Pope's errors of the faculty to confess. That's a good point. Like, the priests are walking on eggshells right now, that if they make the slightest mistake and go a little too conservative, they may lose their faculties. Mm-hmm. All this evidently leads to invalid and sacrilegious sacraments administered to the faithful under the illusion that they are valid and effective. The priest linked these. All right, so this isn't something you and I have to generally worry about.
No,
it's not, unless you're a person in that scenario, I would say any of us, this is one of those things where it's like, okay, well, is Pope Francis like telling us to do something we shouldn't do, where it's like, okay, are you obedient to the Pope? This is not something the general public who isn't living in that second marriage has to necessarily worry about. If you go to confession and you have a firm purpose of amendment and you are actually sorry for your sins, your sacrament is valid,
unless they ad-lib it.
Yeah, it would have to be like a butchering of the form of the priest. He just like makes some form up. This is
which you experienced.
I've experienced now multiple times, three times where I've had to correct the priest and give him the right form, which is insane. which is
Like
which is
if you don't
absolutely
hear the words "I absolve you," make the priest say those before you leave the confessional.
exactly, because otherwise it's not worth it. I'd say two things. So number one, Catholic moral theology is not taught with in any time of like systematic way anymore. Like it's truly a major damage because moral theology is supposed to be like going to the doctor. When you go to the confessional, it is not just absolving you. It's not just a legal court, which is true, but it's also a moral doctor taking care of your soul. And because there's no real good form of training in that, you have major issues. But two, do you both know the name Bernard Herring? People in
No.
chat, do you guys know the
No.
name Bernard Herring? So this is a big red pill moment for you guys. Go check out Bernard Herring. Pope Francis, if you go and check out his statements on moral theology, he criticizes what he calls casuistry. Casuistry was a school of thought, particularly in the Jesuits, of moral theology. Basically, what it was is it was like the 10 Commandments. How did you violate the 10 Commandments, and what would be good penances for you to do? It's basically moral theology 101 in a traditional sense. Bernard
Mhm.
Herring, though, was a heretic in the 1930s. He was part of the broader New Theology movement who denied the teaching on contraception, denied the teaching on homosexuality, and he is the one that Pope Francis has credited multiple times with getting his moral theology from. And he is the one who opined what is called the discernment moral theology. So go check out his moral theology, and all of a sudden you'll see that morals should be you, the priest, and God discerning. And it all makes sense.
Yeah, so then they could start bending rules, and they could start
Exactly.
saying, but they're always trying to like reduce the culpability of the sinner in every
Exactly.
circumstance. Like that's always what they're trying to do. They're always trying to reduce the culpability of the sinner to in every scenario. That's even with the Amoris Laetitia, everything. They're always just trying to find these unbelievably rare circumstances where the culpability of the sinner might not be a mortal sin. And it just kind of blurs the lines of right and wrong completely. It's one of those things that if you understand that's what they're trying to do, you kind of understand everything Francis is doing. All of this, this false sense of mercy, this, this total dilution of everything we know to be right and wrong as Catholics.
And it's scary because it's like, you have essentially like terminal cancer, but in the soul, and the priest just continues to affirm that everything's fine.
Yeah.
Or he's giving you, or he's like, okay, well, you're suffering from terminal cancer. I know what a good penance will be. Have some cough drops. That'll take care of it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I'll tell you, there's something about receiving absolution in Latin that is so amazing.
Yeah, dude.
And it's like the as you're saying the act of contrition, the priest is praying absolution for you as you're saying it. It's like you start your act of contrition, and the priest just starts rambling in Latin, and it's like, and then when you hear the words of absolution as you're finished with it, it's, I don't know, there's something powerful about it. If you guys have never heard if you guys have never been to a priest who offers it in Latin, it's really an awesome thing. I've only had it at Holy Innocents in Manhattan and the SSPX is the only two places I've ever had it.
Yeah, if you guys, I don't know if you guys have ever checked it out. So like the form for confession in the old and the right is like the actual necessary form is the same thing, but broadly speaking, in the old rite, it has so many more prayers, and it not only invokes like the passion blood of our Lord, the intercession of Mary in it, but also it removes all suspensions, excommunications, which is so important because it's like I kind of surprised I didn't even bring this up tonight. Biden obviously is not Catholic. And he's excommunicated by virtue of his own heresy and by virtue of his own schism, et cetera, et cetera. But these excommunications, right, are removed in the sacrament of penance when rightly received. But whenever people aren't ever using that term anymore, when post-council we're like, yeah, we've done away with the Council of Trent, we've done away with all the anathemization, and somehow, like Rupnik is still a priest in quote good good standings, etc.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
I've seen a lot of. I threw an article by Joseph Shaw in there, Rob. I don't know if you're going to be able to open it because when I went to open it right from there, I couldn't get it to open. I had to actually go to Joseph Shaw's Twitter account to get it. But there were people that were celebrating this new document coming out. Yeah, this one. So there's people that are celebrating the new document that's coming out and saying, well, don't worry about it because the new document, if it comes out, Traditionis Custodis is actually calling for more reverent Novus Ordos. So Joseph Shaw wrote, a number of American writers claim that Traditionis Custodis should spur priests to make their celebration of Mass more reflective of the liturgical tradition. Other commentators, including a number of bishops implementing it, apparently think the opposite. Those in favor of the first interpretation can cite a couple of passages from the letter to the bishops which accompanied TC. Pope Francis quotes Benedict complaining about liturgical abuses, unbearable distortions. Later, he remarks, whoever wishes to celebrate with devotion according to earlier forms of the liturgy can find in the Reformed Roman Missal, according to the Vatican Council II, all the elements of the Roman Rite, in particular, the Roman canon, which constitutes one of its most distinctive elements. Roman canon being Eucharistic prayer 1 in the Reformed Missal. The two most influential American blogs defending TC, Pray Tell and Where Peter Is, have accordingly taken this line. Father Anthony Ruff of Pray Tell writes, the goal is that the entire Roman Rite celebrates the liturgy of Vatican II in all the spiritual profundity and sacrality, which remains to be discovered in the 1970 Missal, so that there is less reason for people to seek out the 1962. So this is where he starts, complete BS. Terence Sweeney on Where Peter Is calls for more celebrations of the Novus Ordo in Latin with proper liturgical garments, fully celebrated liturgies, processions, and yes, smells and bells, celebration that is richly traditional. It's just totally preposterous, but by contrast, the bishops who have been most prominent in implementing TC are not encouraging their priests to make their celebrations of Mass any closer to the spirit of the traditional Mass. Quite the contrary. The Bishops' Conference of Costa Rica, for example, in what seems like an inversion of Pope Francis's words about continuity, quoted, warn against any element coming from the ancient form. One bishop has actually suspended a priest for celebrating the Novus Ordo in Latin. So celebrating the Novus Ordo in Latin gets you suspended. One American diocese in Illinois, whose vicar, Monsignor Eric Barr, has written defending TC, banned priests from celebrating facing east, which is ad orientem, obviously. The French bishops, whose report on the spread of the traditional Mass in their diocese became public early this year, felt that when elements are introduced into the ordinary form, they are more sources of tensions than enrichment. What sort of elements did they have in mind? The use of old vestments, the use of black as a liturgical color, the adding of the sign of the cross, veiling of statues and passiontide, blessing of the water at the offertory, the sacring bell, communion plates. So the paten is considered too traditional.
These guys are just neo-modernists. 1,000,000,000%. And I'm sorry to be the quote rad trad. I'll be the rad trad. I'll get all the blame for it. These guys are neo-modernists. How do you claim to hold the deposit of faith as it was always held and understood, the same faith that Pius X held, the same faith that St. Thomas Aquinas held, and come out and say, yeah, statues and patents, they get in the way. You are out of your mind. And when they continue to perpetuate, I'm glad that Murray brought it up in the chat. When they continue to perpetuate lies that have been debunked, like Eucharistic prayer 1 is the Roman canon. No, it's not. Do a basic comparison. It is a gutting of the Roman canon. Plus, the Roman canon literally means a fixed rite, and it's no longer fixed. When you see this lie of we'll just say it in Latin and everything will be fine, or the BS of we have to discover the greater enrichments that it has in store for us. Goodness gracious. You guys sound like Joe Biden saying he's going to get the job done. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. And it's being debunked.
Yeah, you have to understand, you can't have a guy like Joe Biden claim to be Catholic if you have the traditional liturgy.
Exactly.
Like as the main liturgy. The only way you get the Joe Bidens is through this desensitization of the Catholic sensibility. Religion. It's just that's what they have to do. They have to desensitize all of us so that when we see these things, we're just numb to it. And we, it's like, oh, well, you really think the only problem with Joe Biden is that he supports abortion? Like, you think that's what nullifies his Catholicity? That's not what nullifies his Catholicity. First of all, the LGBT stuff is, I'm hesitant to say more but I almost think it kills more souls than abortion does. Like you have to think about the amount of people that if you're supporting this ideology, you are just ripping. I understand that it's not maybe it's not a sin that cries out to heaven the same way, but I'm just talking about the damage that it does to souls, that anybody that could support anything like that is destructive to the sacrament of marriage the way it is something so horrific. I feel like we focus so much on the one issue of babies, which is it's a sin that cries out to heaven, but the other issue is almost as bad.
Yeah,
the amount of souls being lost to that is catastrophic.
So I think of three things. So to Sean's comment in the chat, he said like Europe has had worse than Biden for centuries, and I don't know fully what he's meaning, but if he's meaning like, you know, the TLM was around for centuries and we had worser kings or leaders, etc., I would agree we had worse. But here's the thing: the popes condemned them. The popes excommunicated them. They were open about it. Our pope says, "quote Joe Biden is a good Catholic."
Yeah.
Second, to I think it was Michael's comment. He's like, "Did Christ speak in Latin?" I got this quote so many times in one of my last videos.
It's so brain dead.
It's so.
Well,
it's no
off,
offense.
You guys don't think that the Sermon on the Mount was in Latin? What are you kidding me,
bro? It was in Latin, and it's caught in 4K. Like it's there. With all due respect, Michael, because Michaels right now are known for their nuance and their charity. You need to go and read any basic catechism, right? Any basic catechism, and it will explain why Latin is used in the liturgy. So I'll have that as just do that as your homework.
Plus, Christ probably used Hebrew for that, right? They spoke Aramaic daily, but he most likely used his liturgical language, which was Hebrew. So it would be the same concept.
Saint Joseph was Italian. So if you think Jesus didn't speak Italian, I don't know what planet you guys are
Saint Joseph, the man known for being quiet, was Italian. Are you kidding 100%.
Me? Saint Joseph's Italian. I won't hear otherwise.
Okay, so really controversial point, but I'll make it. So to your point, Anthony, on like sins that cry to heaven. Okay, here's one point that I heard a society priest say. Kennedy can back me up on this. Religious liberty, though, actually is a greater sin than abortion. You know why, though? And people are going to freak out on me. Both are sins, so please don't hear me try to downplay abortion. But it more directly attacks the first commandment and the honor and dignity of God being the one divinity, right? The one being worthy of all worship, by now saying any gods can be worshipped up to your own personal conscience. That is
idolatry. It's essentially idolatry, right?
Yes, exactly. Like Kennedy said, spiritual genocide, 1000%. And you see every single bishops' conference, every single year promote religious liberty. Of course, Vatican II promoted religious liberty in the face of all of the preconciliar popes who condemned that thesis. So yeah, we have to realize
Francis just had a comment this week about it.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Do you remember when Obamacare was coming down the pike, and they were talking about how they were going to make religious sisters have to pay for birth control, all this stuff, and all the bishops came out, and instead of actually preaching on the morality of birth control and actually discussing like what is it that's wrong with birth control, they just went religious liberty. That was it. That was what we need to support religious liberty, because if people are bothered in their conscience about something, you can't force them to do it. It's like, why would anybody be bothered in their conscience about something you never taught them?
Yeah.
They just completely abandoned their roles as teachers.
Yeah, no, 1000%. I was Protestant at the time, and I remember seeing that because we would always growing up Protestant, homeschooled in the South, and as Caucasian, you're probably Republican. And so we were like, yo, Obamacare, horrible, right? And it is horrible. But that was our argument. You can't force this on these little nuns because they can practice according to their own religious conscience. But that's not the Catholic teaching. It is, I saw it in the comment, error has no rights. You cannot put Christ on the same level as Buddha or Krishna or anything. That is an abomination.
What confession episode did we plan? We could do one with Father Nix. That would probably be, I think maybe that's what we were.
I think Andrew's behind, because I saw about 20 minutes into the show, he commented about something we had said at the very beginning. So I don't think he's gotten to the part where we started talking about confession.
Okay. So that Joseph Shaw article I thought was interesting. Then we have, let's see, what were some of the good ones?
Well, we have the lady talking about Nick.
Oh
Is that
yeah,
a long clip, Nick?
It's a few minutes.
It's not. It's like it's a few minutes.
It's like 2
but
minutes.
I
or
will
something.
forewarn you, if you watch it, she swears a few times, but actually it's the swearing that makes it funny. It's pretty hilarious.
I think it's funny how she calls you a Thomist, not a Thomist.
I know.
Thomist.
Yeah.
All right. So
just
now,
watch
will we
it, dude.
get a copyright strike for playing her YouTube channel though?
No, she's not
No?
monetized.
Okay.
No.
Let's play it.
If she was monetized,
Probably,
she could say something, but
she's
All right,
probably,
let's do it. All right. So this
clip.
woman. All right. So give us a little backstory, Nick. What is this?
Yeah, so the other day I had a friend who messaged me and he was just like, "Bro, you got a big fan out there." So I clicked on this video and it's this lady with like 300 subscribers who apparently is just making YouTube videos about everybody else and attacking them. And it's this lady up in Boston. She has a thick Boston accent and she's talking about how I'm this grifter trying to make money on being a Protestant who hates the Catholic Church.
Oh, I love it. So she's probably from the trad recovery world, right?
Well, she'd be a good stand-in for them, that's for sure. She's definitely in that line. Yeah, is she single, Sean? As I said in the chat, finally a woman is paying attention to me. I'm so happy.
Where'd Rob go?
sorry, just said I had to turn my lights on.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Yeah, let's
ready?
do it. Let's see this broad.
Hi there, Renee. I say of Lowell, Massachusetts. I'm on the street, and I'm going to be calling out the Thomas tradition here. He's in my feed. I've been calling out these self-identifying traditional Catholics who spread misinformation about the Catholic Church. Here in the Archdiocese, so first off, he just saw a video on my feed 8 hours ago with this negative comment proclaiming that Pope Francis is going to ban the Latin Mass, also known as the extraordinary form, and that we must prepare for the storm. First off, here in the Archdiocese of Boston, we have a parish that is dedicated to the extraordinary form. It's a two-form parish, and I actually know the priest there. We also celebrate the extraordinary form at the Archdiocese of Boston. The diocese right north of me, a few miles of me, is Diocese of Manchester. They have the extraordinary form
Manchester?
as well in their parishes. You just go on their website and they list where the extraordinary form of Mass is.
Oh no, they can't do
Isn't
that.
amazing?
That's not good.
So these guys who self-identify as traditional Catholics, because there's no such thing as traditional Catholics, are either very, very confused, completely down the road confused, or they're bullshitting you. The traditional Thomas, he has a Patreon account. He probably has a monetized YouTube channel. And he literally gets off making anti-Catholic videos. I am so sick of these self-identifying traditional Catholics who all they do is make anti-Pope, anti-Catholic videos. There's one thing if you were actually a Protestant, guys, but the Protestants don't spend all their day hating
All right, can you pause it for a second?
or hating Pope Francis.
I talked about this the other day. When I first had my conversion, I would go on Peter Diamond's videos, like the Diamond Brothers videos, and I would argue with them. And I'd be like, are you guys even Catholic? I don't understand any of this stuff. So I think she thinks you're like a sedevacantist.
I don't think she knows anything.
Yeah, I don't think she gets that there's like any kind of nuance there. I think everybody should go subscribe to her channel and just leave a ton of comments on this video.
Hold on, let me find.
Bring her channel up. Everybody subscribe to her, and everybody just flood her with comments. It'll be hilarious.
Yeah, just go find
Ordinary
that video.
Catholic.
At Ordinary Catholic 1.
All right, let's see. Ordinary.
But hold on, if we're gonna do this, don't be dicks, guys.
No. Yeah.
Don't be dicks.
Just go give me some love in the video.
What should we do? Let's do something very gentle but like funny. Like it's got to be something gentle and funny. Like she can't.
I want everyone to be encouraging and say yes. You go after them, crypto.
Yeah, that's exactly what you gotta do. Let's go. Like go the altar. Just be like, I just came across your video. This is amazing. You go, girl. Make more videos like this.
Yeah. Yep.
Everybody encourage her.
That or just spam her in the comment section with stuff like Nick is handsome. Why are you attacking him? That'd be funny.
Wait a minute. Response to traditional Catholics concerned about my. Oh man, she's got new videos.
She's got all kinds of stuff. She has Taylor Marshall videos. She got, I think probably Kennedy, if you're in the chat, I think she probably has one on you. So if you can go look it up, you could throw it up on your show.
I'm gonna leave a comment. I'm gonna say this is so funny.
Modern Papist has a point. Encouraging her, well, it's not necessarily being mean. It's probably not good to encourage a crazy person.
Look,
their insanity.
Everyone just go and spam what Prayers and Porsches is saying. Like, why are you hitting on Nick Cavazos? That would just be funny. Just go and say why you're hitting on him.
I'm gonna tell her.
You know, it would be funny. Everyone sub so that she gets monetized and is a grifter herself.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say you are doing the Lord's work, sister. Keep at it.
Bro, I can't wait for you guys to get an episode.
Why do you think we're doing this?
Exactly. Please, if you're out there, Miss Ordinary Catholic, please make a video on avoiding Babel.
Okay, so you were doing the Lord's work, sister. Keep those trads' feet to the fire.
Are you doing it from your account or the Avoiding Babel?
My account.
Everyone's spamming in the chat Michaela Lofton. Michaela Lofton.
Okay, Modern Papist says he's within 100 view hours of monetization. So everyone, go watch at least one of his videos.
Yeah, for
go
sure.
Get him monetized.
How many hours do you need monetize?
4,000, I think. Yeah.
Is it 1,000 or 4,000? I forget.
Oh my,
4,000.
It's 4,000.
You need 1,000 subs and 4,000 view hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got news for you, Modern Papist. It's not much money.
No.
Yeah,
it's really not much money, dude. Oh man.
Yeah.
No, I know. People still talking about did Biden win the debate? I'm in the UK.
Well, speaking of like Biden, but I'm also attaching it to these things. Do you want to throw up your comparison of a Senor Harry Sesson up on the chat from your Twitter account?
Yeah.
Yes,
that was so funny. Let's talk about that. The fact that we all thought that independently was too good.
Michael Lofton is the Harry Sisson of Catholicism. Twitter does actually pay better, but you have to like really hammer away on Twitter to make money.
You have to be annoying about it.
Right? Yeah, you have to. Yeah, and you have to engagement farm. And I know a lot of people like don't like my Twitter anymore because I engagement farm. It's like I don't. It's.
I cringed so hard when I saw that. The
5,000 likes, but you have to understand why I did that. Somebody put a tweet up that said, "Can we get 5,000? I support Israel." 5,000 tweets for I support Israel. I was like, ew. I was like, can we just get 5,000 people say Mary is Queen of Heaven and Earth?
That's funny.
I got news for you. It's got like 200,000 freaking impressions right now. Forgive me, guys. Please don't judge me by my Twitter. This is the real me over here, guys. That Twitter guy is annoying. My alter ego.
The real me can be found in Ordinary Catholics chat comment section.
All right, wait. What other stories we got? Do you want to finish that video or?
We
don't have.
I mean, we don't have to. It's pretty funny. People go give her some love. Just be like, why are you hitting on me? That'd be funny.
Okay. We have.
So we have
the apparition story.
Oh
yeah. I didn't know about this story, so I'm kind of curious.
Yeah. So okay. So you got it up, Rob?
Yep.
Okay. Vatican rules supposed apparitions of the Virgin Mary near Rome not supernatural. The events reportedly began after a couple brought back an image of Our Lady of Peace from Medjugorje in 2014. Right off the bat, we got issues. The Vatican Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith announced Thursday that alleged apparitions of the Virgin Mary outside of Rome are not supernatural, upholding a local bishop's ban on masses and pilgrimages to the site. Is this the same one?
So yeah, we talked about it when the bishop decreed that it was not supernatural, and that was about the same time they we're changing the norms on apparitions. So that's when we talked about it the first time, and now it seems like the DDF has just said yes, that decree from the bishop is not that the DDF isn't claiming it's not supernatural. The DDF is just saying that the bishop decreeing it is legit.
Okay, so now this woman was claiming to have visions once a month. When they tested the blood on this bleeding statue, they found it was pig's blood one time, another time it was her blood. She was giving messages. This is why, like, we've had these like even Kennedy's been talking about that Father Michel Rodrigue. And he's been popping up. I see like Doug Barry has him on. I see like he's popping up. I think Joel McLean had him on. It's like, guys, this guy has been proven to have shady things that he said that do not come true. I mean, he's predicted dates on things that have just not come true, and everybody just keeps trying to resurrect this guy. Oh, he's got a new message and he's got a new thing coming out. And it's like, how many times does a person have to be wrong before you just say, okay, I'm not going to fall for this anymore?
Well, what's wild is, like, again, because I know this is predominantly Catholic chat, but do you guys know like the Deuteronomy 18 test for false prophets?
No.
What it was in the Old Testament. So in the Old
Testament,
it's
a Catholic channel. You guys don't read your Bible.
Exactly. In the Old Testament, if a person was to make a prediction, right, from claiming it from God, right, thus saith the Lord, X, Y, Z is going to happen, and it didn't happen, he was stoned with stones. That's the litmus test. And so when our Lord says beware of false prophets, again, I'm not calling this individual a false prophet per se. I don't know a ton about him, but what I can say is that, yeah, if you're running around giving a ton of predictions, or in this lady's case, like cutting yourself to put blood up there, you're talking to a spirit, but it ain't the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, that's the thing. People don't realize it's not always just people conning. Like, there really is possibly spirits going on here. It's not just, oh, this isn't supernatural. It might be preternatural. And there's something going on that is dark inside of her. Like, this woman may need an exorcism. It shouldn't be the bishop shouldn't just be going, no, this isn't supernatural. You should be looking in to see, like, what is really going on here that this woman's doing this kind of stuff.
Ordinary Catholics not going to like that, Nick.
1,000% serious on that. 1,000%.
How about for adultery? Can we bring stoning back for that too?
We would have to stone our entire political class.
Right.
Let's just put it this way. If you guys want my real serious opinions on all of those four said questions, we need to have a local section, because I'll definitely give you some spicy tips.
There was also a court in Belgium. A court finds Belgian cardinal and archbishop for denying a woman admission to the diaconate. So this is, when you get into some of the places in Europe. So a Belgian civil court has fined 2 Catholic prelates after they denied a woman entry into the diaconate formation program. According to the Belgian newspaper, the woman, I'm not going to even attempt it, asked the Archdiocese of Brussels to register for training as a deacon in 2023 and again in October 2023. In June 2023 and October. Whatever her last name is, made her first request to Cardinal Joseph de Kessel and her second to whatever. And both times her request to join. I'm not going to attempt Belgian last names, guys. It's not happening. You guys get on my case for my English. I'm not going to attempt Swiss or whatever this is. The request to join the 4-year diaconal training program.
Really?
Is it Belgian as a language?
Flemish.
I'm going to know that. Come on. The 2 prelates will have to pay 1,500 euros, $1,600 each, the court ordered. The court in Mechelen ruled that the archbishops made a mistake when refusing her entry to the program, but did not address the question of actually ordaining her. According to De Morgan, the court cannot overturn the archbishop's refusal or decide in his place who will be admitted to deacon training. So the church is the ones who have the sole authority to actually admit someone to the diaconate, but for the diaconate training, they're being fined 1,500 euros each. Now, the bishop and the cardinal haven't decided if they're going to contest this court case. They may just pay the 1,500 and say, leave us alone.
Dang, dude.
Yeah, we have Patrick Coffin. I think we're going to save the Vegano stuff for when Patrick comes on Tuesday. Nick, you going to jump on with us for that one? We're going to discuss Vegano.
I was wrong. It's not
probably if we
Flemish
discuss
is
Vigano, because I don't know. I think Patrick doesn't like me very much because I'm a big SSPXer. Anthony's just like, okay, do I get ratings or do I try to be nice? What can I do?
All
to
right,
make Patrick freak out on Nick?
because me and Patrick are going to talk about Advent in Italy, but we're going to talk. We'll probably talk vegan. We'll also talk whatever else is going on. But
July, and we're talking about Advent.
Advent in Italy.
What is this? Christmas in July?
It's going to be Advent in Italy. We're doing. So we
I
got.
will always come on. I will always come on, but like if he gets on there and we're talking about vegan, he's just like, he's like those schismatic SSPXers. I'm going to say something.
He's going to defend Vigano.
Yeah, I know. But the thing is, he could be like Vigano, man. Like he's in the church. Those SSPXers, man. He's the one who they're going to try to paint him with because they're outside the church and he's not. And I'm going to be like,
I'll tell you what Patrick's main issues with the society is. What I think his main issue with the society is that they insist that Francis is a valid pope.
That, and he was also a huge JP2 fan and Benedict fan.
Yeah.
So he's not really like Coffin is not a traditionalist, if you will.
No. I mean, he appreciates the Latin Mass and things like that, but he's not a trad. But I think his biggest issue with them at this point, he's like, they're just so insistent that he's a valid pope. It's like, because the society actually does that, like they do say Francis is a valid pope. They've claimed that there's been issues since the council, but the popes have all been valid.
Exactly. They're kind of the go-to people actually if you're wanting to debate sedes. But yeah, it's kind of funny. Like Sean's comment, Novus Ordo set of accountism. To a point, you're not wrong. To a point. It is.
I was talking to Joe Boca today about what we're going to do if TC kicks in. This new thing kicks in.
Yeah.
And I obviously have a society chapel near me, and then I have a Byzantine liturgy about 10 minutes from me, and then another Byzantine liturgy about 20 minutes from me. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I might rotate, because Joe will rotate. Joe will go society and then the Byzantine, society and then Byzantine, whatever works.
If you as an Italian, or Sicilian, not really Italian, go to a Byzantine liturgy, what's his name is going to be all over you.
I know Sicilianus is going to kill me.
Sicilianus is going to be all over you.
Kill me, man.
Traditionally,
Sicily was rather influenced by the Byzantines.
Was it really?
What were you going to say, man?
Yeah. Sicily was under control of the Byzantine Empire until the Normans invaded.
That's fair. I was going to say traditionally, at least according to like moral theology, you have to have like a pretty grave reason to switch to rite, to the point that they actually said that if you didn't have, like, let's say a Roman rite around you, and you were a Roman rite Catholic, but you only had Byzantine Catholics around you, you were actually dispensed from Sunday obligation because they thought this would be just too weird for you. It'd be too weird for you. That's stuff that people don't want to know.
I kind of think that's accurate.
It is.
Right. Not I kind of think it's accurate. I mean it. I don't mean what the church said. I mean, it would be too alien for me to go there.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be like, I think I need to, I just gotta, the thing is, I'll definitely,
bro.
I'll definitely go to the society. I don't know if I'll ever be a society guy though. You know what I mean, right? Like, you know the difference, right? Like I would be going to the society because I love the liturgy. I don't know if I'd ever be like a hardcore society guy where like you or Kennedy.
Yeah, it's okay. We all can't be perfect.
No, I don't. I just don't. I don't know. You know what? Maybe I should start with reading the biography of Lefebvre.
Do that.
Before that, start with open letter to confused Catholics. Yes, that one.
Yeah. Everyone. If you guys,
letter?
It's a collection of letters written by Lefebvre.
Plus, if you're inclined to listen to stuff, Anthony, which I think you've told me you are, it's online for free on their YouTube account, like an audio version of it. It's pretty good dramatized version of it. Everyone, if you guys have not read that book, Open a Letter to Confused Catholics, you can find it for free online. You can find the audiobook as well. So you can find it for free on the if you look up SSPX Open Letter to Confused Catholics PDF. You'll find it on the old SSPX Asia Districts website in English for free. You can also find the audiobook on YouTube on the SSPX podcast. You can find it free, and that also applies to Spotify, Apple Music, and all of that. But go get the book. Go read the book. It sounds like it's written for today because it is written for today.
So I don't know if I'm going to lose it. Yeah, I typically go to a diocesan TLM. That's typically what I do. And mainly, like, I would probably go to the society. My kids like the diocesan one much better. Like
I mean, I'm sure it's a prettier parish.
What was that?
I was like, I'm sure it's definitely a prettier parish.
Oh, it's beautiful. Like, the liturgy's beautiful. The music is beautiful. There's a lot of like younger kids there. It's my wife and children love the diocesan Latin Mass that we go to. They do. There's two of them that we go to. One of them they love more than the other, but it's further. But it would be a tricky thing for me to go Byzantine, I think. I don't know. I might just tell them, guys, suck it up. This is what we're doing.
I mean, plus Italians and Greeks, have you ever seen them get along? It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Anthony after Mass will be like, you guys got any gyros around? They will just lynch him. Straight up lynch him.
That's so true.
Look, if I can get along with my German wife, there's no nationality I can't get along with, okay?
Bro, you got a German wife and you're Italian. There's a little Third Reich stuff going on there.
Yeah, my wife's half Italian, half German.
That's funny. Can I answer? So Super Sad 64, he sent you guys a question. This is a good question, actually, just in general for everyone. Yes, Rome has explicitly said on 7 occasions that you can not only fulfill your Sunday obligation at the SSPX, but that also you can do so without, quote, any canonical penalties or sin. So there's literally no problem.
You can donate to the parish and not feel like you're doing something. Like, you're allowed to give money to the chapel.
Exactly. So let me just say this. Any YouTuber or commentator or whatever who says you can't go to the SSPX, must schismatic, or doesn't fulfill your Sunday obligation, they are just a talking head. Rome has already said this issue. Just ignore them.
I will tell you this. I believe what the church actually says on it, that there are some people that can go to the SSPX who have a schismatic attitude, who think the SSPX is the true church. To me, that's more like a sedevacantist attitude. Like, there are sedes that go to an SSPX chapel. You can be one of those people, or you can just be somebody who goes to the SSPX because you love the liturgy, or, because you think there are some, things that need to be.
I would just say you could say the exact same things about most Novus Ordos.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. I know you would agree with that, but
yeah, definitely. There are some Novus Ordo parishes you're going to go to where they don't follow anything in communion with the church. I mean, you're going to tell me you're better off going to a parish that has pride flags than an SSPX chapel? I'll fight you on that one. There's not a chance.
Or just even like a lot of these parishes where it's like, again, I've been to 3 parishes where they just made up the form for confession. It's like, goodness gracious.
Yeah, I'm using that extreme example. You don't even need that extreme example. There are so many different things that could happen at a typical Novus Ordo parish that you could just feel completely uncomfortable with, that you think it'll damage the faith of your children. Like, if you think your children's faith could be damaged from it, you shouldn't go there.
Exactly. Super sad 64. If you want a good article to look up Catholic Family News's SSPX Sunday obligation. Look up that, because a gentleman who has a master's degree in theology did a study. He put every single statement Rome has ever said about the SSPX into one long study. And there you go. You have every single statement right there. So go check that out.
Rob,
Catholic
why don't
Family
we
News,
give Nick the login so that he can highlight any comments he wants?
Yeah, I'm all for that.
Yeah, we're going to give you your own login. So go to Catholic Family News and you'll find an article about attending the SSPX.
Exactly. It's great.
Yeah, I'm not going to take my kids to a parish where, I mean, and I catechize my kids pretty well, but I'm not going to take them somewhere where just the experience of it is going to desensitize them to what the Eucharist is, to what is actually going on, that the Mass itself is supposed to be a sacrifice, because you lose that sense at a typical Novus Ordo that what we're doing there is actually the sacrifice of the Son to the Father, you know. And look, I don't
Plus,
you know, everybody has to do this on their own, and I'm not judging anybody that comes to a different conclusion.
hey, that's cool. That's cool right there.
Yeah,
Nice.
Mr. C wrote it. Nice.
Do you both remember back in March that my diocesan TLM got canceled, right? You guys remember that? Okay, so I was at the cathedral in Austin. If people look it up on, like, you know, Google Images, beautiful historic 1850s style Gothic cathedral, absolutely great. Right, got canceled. We had over 800 parishioners that went to both of the TLMs. Got canceled. Most of those people are now going to Mass in a hotel room because of their faith and devotion to God and to the traditional faith. The next diocesan TLM, right, is looking like it's going to get canceled. And guess what? Everyone I've talked to, they said they're going to the hotel. We're going to have 700 plus people in a hotel room who are missing out on.
You must mean
two
like
things.
a conference room, right? A hotel conference
Yeah,
room?
in a conference room. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Large conference room at a hotel. Yeah. They're not going to a Gothic cathedral or even a normal parish. And then two, we were, you know, given a quote Latin Novus Ordo. No one goes to it anymore. I had a friend who actually went there a few weeks ago. He said out of the like 500 people that would typically be there, 80 at max, and all of them are new and they're wearing like flip-flops and shorts. It doesn't work. And this is my whole point. Going back to what we were talking about earlier, Rome does not understand the traditionalist argument. They're being willfully ignorant because the synodal, you know, listening church has selective hearing. It does not want to hear it.
Well, okay, so Ravello's saying, why would I go to an SSPX and not just a normal TLM? I mean, if you're not, I don't know if you're not actually listening to what we're saying. I do go to a diocesan TLM. I'm saying if that gets taken away, my options are either I go Byzantine or I go to the SSPX. Now, what Nick's saying is the like they're, so if they cancel our diocesan and they tell us we can't do it in the parishes anymore, if they offer it in a basement at a hotel somewhere and it's the same priest, I'll go do that. And what'll happen is we'll wind up raising enough money to buy a parish building, not a parish building. We'll buy something. We'll buy a chapel, and then it'll be our diocesan priest will come. What?
They won't allow it.
Well,
they don't allow establishing.
It wouldn't have anything to do with the diocese. We would buy our own chapel, and then we would have a visiting priest come. Hopefully.
So yeah, into what was it, Revelo's point? Why would I go to an SSPX and not a normal TLM? And then I think he follows it up with under the bishop. So first and foremost, you have to understand that the SSPX is not under, quote, the direct coverage in the sense of the micromanaging of the bishop, but they are under the bishop. And over 1,200 dioceses work with the SSPX. Famously, the Argentinian, if you go to the Argentinian website, Argentinian Bishops Conference, they have the SSPX listed under Catholic organizations.
Well, especially for marriages and stuff. They have to work with the bishop for marriages and things like that. So
exactly. But chiefly the reason why I recommend people all the time on my show go to the SSPX is because the issue in the crisis, we talked about this on the Trad Roundtable, it's not about primarily the liturgy. The liturgy is the day-to-day manifestation of the problem. It's doctrinal. We don't want to fall into the habit of, if it's just a Latin Mass, it's good enough for me, because that Latin Mass priest may believe in a whole bunch of bad things and might be, you know, teaching something just because the bishop requires it. We have to recognize religious liberty, ecumenism, collegiality, this new ecclesiology, neo-modernism, indifferentism. That is the core, and the new Mass is just the day-to-day contact with that said system.
Okay, so Matt's saying no diocesan priest would ever do that. You don't know what you're talking about, because my I hate saying this stuff. My bishop, ever since TC came out, just turns, you know, he's like, didn't say nothing, right? So my bishop may follow the orders of Francis and say, hey guys, we got to shut this down at the parish level, and then turn a blind eye to if the priest comes and does some visiting. Like you know, I think the majority of bishops that allow it in their diocese now, since TC came out, generally love the parishioners that go to these things, don't want to shut it down. They may have their hand forced and be told they have to do it. And then if they, okay, look, it's not going on at my parish. I don't know what you're talking about. You know, I don't know. There's a Catholic social club. A priest goes and ministers to them. What do I know? You know,
classic,
and the priest will have,
Italian
exactly.
mafia.
It's like, look, you know, bishop, we're just having the priest come and, you know, come to our club. It's a Catholic club.
It's a Catholic club.
How is that not obedience? I don't understand it. we're following. Ooh, somebody. Sorry, Rob. You get it. How is that disobedient? Francis says he doesn't want it in the parishes at diocesan parishes. It won't be.
That's actually pretty funny. Yeah, no, but I mean, obedience to what end though? Obedience is a virtue which is supposed to help propel you into keeping the traditional faith and keeping the deposit of faith. And so if a bishop is to come out and say, hey, the mass in which all your ancestors worshipped is now banned, which is, again, the mass is part of the big T tradition according to every theology manual, then what you're basically saying in an alternate universe is if a bishop was to come out and say, no more reading of the Bible. In fact, we're actually just going to get rid of whole books because, hey, we can. Why not? It's the equivalent of the same thing to a degree. And so people have to realize that obedience has a purpose. It's supposed to unite you with Christ. It's supposed to unite you with the deposit of faith. It's not a false obedience of micromanaging and do whatever you want. If people want to go check out a video on that, I made a really long video, but really good video called "The Limits of Papal Infallibility" on my show. Go check it out. As the thumbnail says, "Is Vatican II infallible?" etc. It gives you a good detail of this discussion.
Do I have a mic under my shirt? Why am I loud? Is that why he's asking that?
No, because you're snitching.
Oh, no. I'm snitching on myself. Well, the good thing about having a show that's small like ours, especially 2 hours into a stream, who the heck's hearing this, you know? Be lucky to get
except for that,
over 1,000 people so far, apparently.
The ordinary Catholic lady, she will return and she will make a video on you.
That's what she's gonna listen 2 hours in. Come on.
Yeah,
Michaela
like
Lofton will do what she needs to do.
And the other thing is we coded this whole show with the first hour being politics. Nobody's even going to think anything happened in this show. We're going to chop this up. We'll chop this up into 2 separate shows. Yeah, see,
1,000 views and only 80 likes. What the heck?
There's 247 people watching on YouTube right now. So please hit like. Please subscribe.
Everyone go like.
Do you think there's people that watch us regularly and haven't subscribed yet?
1,000.
Half of our audience, according to the analytics.
You guys are a bunch of bums. Bunch of bums, man.
So you two send me the clip when you chop the clips up of ordinary Catholic lady. I'll put it on my show.
Okay.
I'll put it on my show. And
hey, while we got a big audience. While we got a big audience, Rob's wearing a shirt that says, "Have you accepted Mary as your personal mother and intercessor?" Very nice shirt. You guys should get that. We do have Avoiding Babylon drip. Peep the drip. Go buy some of our stuff. Help support the show.
I need to actually get a shirt.
Streaming. I actually, you know what it is?
Nick, I will send you a shirt for free. So just let me know.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Let's go.
Nick, Rob, you buy Nick's. I have to buy one for Josh. So you buy one for Nick. I'll buy one for Josh.
Okay.
And we'll do that.
The first time people have ever seen me in a t-shirt.
And don't actually.
No, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Yeah, me and you will.
Because then we're just paying ourselves.
Yeah, it's stupid. Let's see. Yeah, the good thing about doing a Friday night show. The good thing about doing a Friday night show is I don't have to wake up at 3:30 in the morning tomorrow, so I'm not like stressing what time it is right now. You know.
I know. You finished the moat? Is it all dug?
It's all dug. Whole moat's done. I'm getting alligators now.
Our whole state is
I'm not even Roman Catholic. Vatican politics is like some weird labyrinth that reeks of gold and garlic.
That's so funny.
Is that because of the vampires or the Italians?
Well, you know what? I think that we're generally like if you have someone who's like kind of getting interested in Catholicism, the thing is I don't like the shows where we're doing church politics. That's not necessarily a good show to introduce them to, but when we're just kind of like shooting the crap about theology, those are the best shows to turn somebody on to because we're not we're easily accessible. I think that's
wait, like right now?
No way.
The ordinary Catholic is responding.
No
right
way.
Now?
Let's
For
see
real?
if she's on live.
Hold on. Okay, let me pull it up.
Go to her channel. See if she's live.
We'll do this right now.
Please.
She has no idea who she's playing with.
She just had a video an hour ago.
There's no way we weren't even doing it an hour ago though. There's no way she put it up.
She does videos though. She doesn't have live. She doesn't go live. She can't probably live.
Response. So her latest video is response to traditional Catholics concerned about my profanity in one of her videos.
Oh, it's probably because I had a bunch of fans go in there. It was like, what authority are you for like swearing and cussing him out or something like that? I don't know.
She's not capable of doing live videos yet, I bet. Like when you first start your channel, you can't go live
unless you go through software like this that we use.
Yeah.
Because isn't it like, is it a 500 or 1,000 or something that you need to go live?
1,000.
1,000? Okay. Bring her on the show. Do you guys want to see her on the show?
I mean, we had Pine Sap on. She can't be that far off from his theology, right?
Oh, come on. That is low.
I'm kidding. I was joking.
That is
Pine Sap.
He was fun, man. Honestly, like, you know, I know a lot of people. He's not everybody's cup of tea.
Oh, is she responding? Is she commenting on our video? That might be.
Is that what it is?
Or she might be probably on her video. She might be responding to our comments on her video.
Oh, okay.
Let me see if I can pull that up.
Someone says, someone, is it Colossus is gonna
Holy
burn in
cow,
hell for what
it's
he said
all
in person?
out. She just got like a ton of comments and she's replying to them. Oh, this is great. Okay, so traditional Catholics still think Francis is the Pope. You might be a bit confused. She wrote, there's no such thing as traditional Catholics. You're just Catholic who likes to attend extraordinary form of mass.
No, hold on. This is even better. Why are you flirting with Nick Cavazos? He sure is handsome. The reply, I'm an old lady, but I did like to flirt when I was younger.
Can you do a video reviewing your favorite anime? Somebody wrote. I don't do anime. Somebody wrote, Snap Girls, slay Pookie Boo. Yes, educate them fools. Yes.
Or I like this one. Nick Cavazos doesn't know what he is talking about. He uses Chat GPT to make the scripts for all his videos and spends all his time watching cringe anime.
This is
So
amazing.
true.
You guys
So
are the best.
Oh, keep hitting her up, y'all.
Which video is yours?
Yes, Queen, go off. Keep calling out this deceitful and evil crypto sade traditional Thomas Cavazos is evil.
Could you imagine Taylor Marshall doing what we're doing right now?
Dude.
Like, so could you picture another Catholic commentator doing what we're doing right now?
Is that necessarily like, is that, should we maybe consider that more though?
I don't know. This got out of hand.
No, let it continue. This is the best part about the internet. This is the best part about the internet.
And we are not. We have always proclaimed that we are unprofessional.
No, I don't think. Yes, Sue's telling us to go to confession.
Hold on.
Hey, you never know. You never know.
Yeah, listen, we didn't tell anybody to do anything. We were to like encourage her, like just make her think she just got like hundreds of fans out of nowhere, you know? She'd be like, whoa, what happened?
Here's the thing. I subscribe to her, make sure she does more videos, because it's videos like that that really shows people that we are right. Like,
I'm commenting on the Taylor Marshall one. This is go to your local parish, stop listening to Taylor Marshall. See, the thing is, a lot of people already commented on that. We got to comment on the ones that nobody's commented on.
Yep.
Dude, this is too funny.
This is good.
Two Catholics supporting vegan. Let's see. There's 3 comments on it. Yeah, you just got everything's got to be slay queen. Yes, girl. Like that's the stuff you gotta do.
Yes, Epo Rose. Let's make sure she gets more subs than Lofton. That would be the greatest.
We can't even get as subs as Lofton.
I was gonna say, if we're gonna do that, can we do that to us first?
Everyone doesn't subscribe to you guys. Your viewers don't subscribe to you guys, but it goes and subscribes to her.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, exactly. Half our audience isn't subscribed to us. They're gonna go subscribe to her. Oh man, we really are very childish, I will say. Are there any other? Let's see. I'll check the fresh feed. I'll check my. Let's see.
I mean, that is probably the case.
Whoa, Francis is leading souls into moral slavery and eternal death. That's a bold statement. The infallible and irreformable teaching of the Catholic Church on the divine assistance of grace to avoid sin is directly contradicted by Francis. This is probably the same.
What are we talking about now?
This is the
This is
same
the same-
book from earlier, but this is the third part in the series. This is the third part in the series on the nature of true freedom, drawing especially from, the teaching of Pope Leo XIII in his encyclical on human freedom. The first part explained man's natural liberty, and the second part explained that we can attain moral liberty by observing the natural law. This is a bit much. This is a little heady.
Where are you taking this from?
LifeSite.
Oh, we're at 2 hours. We don't have to look at random stuff to go longer.
Well, you got stuff to do tomorrow. I don't.
Son of a.
me and Nick will keep going until we get $100 super chat for him to play the banjo. I don't know.
It is 81 in this room. I am sweating, and my computer is just putting out more heat.
All right, guys. I wanted to stay on. Rob's cutting the feed on us. I don't know. We didn't give you guys a local show, so I figured I'd go a little extra tonight. But Rob wants to cut us off.
Guys, if you're not,
you're right. Anthony, I'm gonna let you cook. Okay.
No, I'm good.
Go subscribe to the show. Come on, guys. Especially those of you guys who aren't subscribe. Come on.
Subscribe to us. Subscribe to the Traditional Thomist. If you guys are not subscribed, actually, he gets more views than we do. I watched his last video; had 10,000 views on it.
Yeah, I have
because
no
he does good videos.
Yeah, he actually puts effort into his.
I appreciate the love, y'all. I appreciate
it. Traditional Thomist last video has 10,000 views. Vatican leak, Latin Mass ban. Well, not your last one. You put last one up 3 hours ago. 2 days ago, he's got 10,000 views on it. Holy get the banjo out, Nick.
Bro,
get the banjo out, bro.
Banjos are out of tune. They're all out of tune.
What exactly is ARS? Am I missing something?
ARS? I have no clue.
Pro bono. What is that?
They're paying us to get off. I said we'll keep going until we get $100 super chat.
Oh, did you really? I did not even hear you say that.
Get off the air, stupid. That's what they're saying.
Okay, I get thrown on the bus all the time. I'm used to
it. Nick, those banjos, you've got to get those tuned up, bro.
Oh, wait, hold on. ARS might be the denomination.
Really?
Oh, that's fair. Like from a country. Like,
hold on.
Yeah, what would it be though?
Oh, you're saying it's not a dollar,
right?
Wait, let's look up. Let's look up the conversion rate.
It is literally 11. It's less than 1 cent, guys. It's an Argentinian peso. That is hilarious.
Had to play the banjo for 11
cents.
Clever.
That is genius.
That is really funny.
I freaking hate you guys. I got so excited. I'm like, oh crap, we got $100. You guys are savage, man. That is
Bergoglio bucks.
I gotta be honest. It's the second highest super chat we got tonight, so I don't know.
That's a
dude.
Will we get one $5 super chat tonight? We do have a cheap audience. It's okay. We love you.
You guys are both the best and the worst in the world.
Yeah. Karma. Oh man. Look at that. All right. Call it a night, boys.
Canadian.
What is
Canadian.
Canadian 50. How much is that?
Like $7.
All right, we'll take it.
Hold on, let me do some quick math.
$12.11 out of the night.
It's $11.
All right, that's fair.
Nice.
All right.
Thank you.
It's not too bad. Yeah.
You know, that's so genius. I'm gonna start contributing in Argentinian pesos to channels.
No, you want to know what that made me realize though, Rob? What Joe Diodati did for us that time? Like the Australian conversion rate.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like that actually, I didn't even think of that. Like the Australian, because the Australian conversion rate is crazy.
Yeah, it's like 4,500 Australian.
Dang.
Yeah, man. Joe, you are the best if you're listening to this.
Yeah, when I said you're the best, I was specifically talking about Joe, and the worst was everyone else.
Yes. No, Joe Diodati. The reason this show exists is a big part because of him.
Yep.
Like a big part because like me and Rob were like, I don't know if we can keep doing this. And he was like, he gave us the encouragement to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently
we're getting goofy now.
Staying on, it's getting really funny. Well, all right. I mean, if you guys give me a topic, I can riff on it.
To be fair, like I took a 2-hour nap before this, so I'm not like tired.
I'm
I
hungry
just
though, so
know-
I'm gonna go eat a
let me-
little bit.
Go get
All
food.
right.
You can.
Eat
I
on air.
have to like cook it and stuff, you know.
You think there's still people hanging out for this. It's crazy. Hang on. How many we got on YouTube? YouTube's got 240 still.
We
My
break
Twitter
every
has-
other rule on this channel. We might as well eat on air.
My Twitter is, the thing with Twitter is you don't know if those people are still watching. It just like once somebody opens it on Twitter, you get that number and then it doesn't you don't know if they left. So it shows my Twitter handle has 275, Rob has 100, and the Avoiding Babylon has 80, but we don't know if those people just clicked on it and then left. Like I really only count the YouTube views.
$5 for 30 more minutes. What kind of
You divide
cheapskate offer is that?
Think about how much you're offering there, honestly.
Do $1 a minute. Do at least $1 a minute.
It's $2.50 an hour.
But you got to split it 3 ways.
Wage. Yeah, except we don't.
30 minutes.
Sorry,
$5 for 30 minutes split 3 ways. All right. Yeah, you guys I'll tell you what, you guys super chat topics. We'll talk about them. we can do an
we honestly should do things like that more.
Yeah.
The big channels, that's how they make money.
Yeah, we'll suit. All right. So Catholic dating do's and don'ts. You know, I've been out of the dating game for so long. What are like some of the things that are going on in these days? I mean, so you start off, okay, how about this? You meet somebody on a dating app, a Catholic dating app. When does it start getting sinful in the text?
Yeah, okay. So if you're wanting a real answer, Nick needs tips. Yeah, well, I think all Gen Z males need tips on everything.
Yeah, I do too.
It's because you're all autistic.
Okay, so if I'm actually applying real moral theology to it, so when it comes to courtship, you should obviously be intentional about like actually getting to know the girl. And Tim Gordon's talked actually about like there's this like LARPy sentiment amongst traditional Catholic men, where they are fawning over the girl and they're acting kind of very womanly-ish, if you will, treating her like an idol way too quickly and things along that nature. And he's right about that. One area that we have to also take into consideration, though, is that if courtship is ordered toward marriage, right, then that's how you have to be intentional in going down that route. But what about the do's and the don'ts? Well, it is always a mortal sin to knowingly and willingly do actions against the 6th and 9th commandment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Actions of impurity. So you have to be extremely careful about yourself and about also the other person, right? That you're talking to, like loving them, if you will, to avoid actions along that nature. So some of these things are obviously applied to everyone. Obviously, fornication's out of the window. Any type of foreplay that leads up to fornication is out of the window. Passionate kissing is also out of the window. Passionate kissing, actually, there's literally a condemned thesis in moral theology that
Don't
says
say moral theology.
Don't say moral theology.
Like do's and don'ts. Don't talk about moral theology if you're dating a chick.
You know what? At least I'll make it to heaven. I don't know. Like, I mean, if they don't want any of that, it's probably not what I want. But
well, no, I think what he's saying is, all right. So
he's saying tone the tism down just a tad.
Yeah. So like if you're so
be
Nick,
yourself.
Yeah, be yourself. Right. So so we talked about this once before.
Theologian, get over it.
Well, we talked about this once before where I said, if you're doing Thomism at work and that's like your job and that's what you're studying for, that like, do you want to come home to that? Or do you kind of want to separate
my wife?
Yeah, like if you meet a woman, like do you want your wife into that, or would you prefer your wife into more like feminine, her own thing, or like more feminine things and doing her own thing, or do you kind of want to be able to spit ideas back and forth with her?
Nick, stay an incel. You lose your scholastic powers. That's so funny, dude. To answer your question, Anthony, preferably it would be someone who's into like theology, but realistically, I know it's not going to happen, so I'm fine with both.
Yeah, I think.
But see, here's the thing. The question was Catholic like do's and don'ts, and Like you
Right.
do have to take these moral practices
Mhm.
into actual effect. And so, like, for instance, it is an actual condemned statement in moral theology that like passionate kissing is a venial sin. Like passionate kissing, just like make out sessions when you're not married are mortally sinful. So people have to
Yeah.
take this into account.
Heavy
Does this
petting.
mean that you yeah, exactly. Does this mean you can't hold hands, you can't give hugs or something like that? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm just saying you gotta be careful with this.
Yeah, because
And
it's going to lead you to want to, like, you're throwing temptation in your face just right off the bat, right? I mean,
exactly. What is it? Oh wait, ARS, isn't that Argentina? They pull up to La Regia Argentina, lots of SSPX ladies. Well, I mean, hopefully I'll be moving to St. Mary's, Kansas soon. So
so
lots
what
of
about
actual court.
texting though, Nick? Like, okay, so I guess you could write love letters if you're courting somebody, right? Like you could pour your heart out to somebody, but I would think if you're texting, it's a little bit different than that. And I would think you got to be careful.
You have to be you have to be
cautious.
very, very careful because I mean, again, like if marriage in a sacramental sense is supposed to lead you to heaven to make you guys saints, if you guys are fooling around, it can be like before marriage, it can be a big issue. And so that's why emotional chastity is also a thing. So that's why you have to, particularly in the beginning, be somewhat unattached. You got to keep your options open, be somewhat unattached, and actually be asking yourself rational questions like, what does she want? What does he want? How does he want to run a family? How does she want to be a mother, et cetera, et cetera? The way that she's dressing, the way that he dresses. In the context of text messages, I would look, it's like, okay, if they're using lewd language, yeah, like exactly.
Yeah,
Things
that's
along
what I
that
was
nature.
getting at.
If they're trying to get that, then that's wrong. Love letters, though, I would say prudentially, like in and of themselves, love letters are not sinful per se, right? They could be imprudent in the sense that, maybe it's too early or something to that effect. For me, I think I would only do it if either A, I knew that we were getting engaged soon. Like, so she was, giving me the
Yeah.
hints,
Yeah, you don't want to
looking
lead
at
her
rings and
on.
stuff like that. Exactly. Or we were engaged. Like that stuff makes sense in that context to talk
If you're
about.
gonna write a love letter, make sure you got to act straight because it's a little gay.
Well, I'll say
yeah.
this. I'll tell the guys this. Never come on to the girl too strong. Like you have to be very cautious of that. If you come on too strong, a girl wants what she can't have. So she has to like you a little more than you like her. At least she has to think that. Like it's very much a game in the beginning with girls. They're not normal. Like you're playing, they're not rational creatures. So you have to actually kind of act like you're not that into them, and then they'll want something to do. They're just weird girls.
Are we
guys.
trying to get to under 10% female viewership in a
I'm
single
just
week?
telling you, girls are weird creatures, man. They're not,
It's true.
You guys
they're
are supposed
just
to be. You
strange
guys are supposed to
creatures.
be setting me up, and you're destroying all the female demographic. Thanks,
Oh,
guys. The
hold
only
on.
woman that pays
Tyler's right.
attention to me in my life is my mom and ordinary Catholic online.
That's not even misogynistic. I'm being honest. Like women. I remember. Like I remember guys that would come on to go. Like this one guy I was friends with. Never had a girlfriend, and then he finally got like a chance to hang out with this girl. On the first date, he goes over with flowers for her, and he writes her this card. And I'm like, he blew it. Like I knew before he even got there, he blew it. And of course, he took her out. And the girl was just
so what you're
cranked
saying
out,
is that one girl Joe went on a couple dates with. The problem wasn't that he took her for dirty water dogs on the second date. The problem was he took her for a nice steak on the first.
No, okay, so that's okay. Like you could take a girl out to a nice place, but you can't. It's got to just be, hey, this is what I do. I'm just balling a little bit. It can't be
exactly.
It can't be. I'm so in love with you. I want to take you to this great place. Like you just got. Like you can play it off like, oh, I'm taking you to a nice place.
If Bronner wrote about dating, he would be Anthony. That is the best line I have heard in such a long time. Goodness gracious.
Well, I'm not wrong here. You guys think I'm wrong? I'm not wrong.
No,
you gotta kind of like.
You're right. You're actually 100% right.
You got like
no,
you're
not. I don't disagree with you. I'm just dying at that comment.
Yeah, if you come on, and it works with guys that way too. If you think about it, like Nick, you've even told me it's something kind of like this, where it's like the girl was just so in love with me, it was just like, oh man, it's over. But like you want a challenge. Everybody wants a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
If a girl doesn't have a little bit of a challenge, you got no shot.
Yeah, and for people like who are understanding this, I don't walk up to girls and be like, so what's your thoughts on Aquinas's treatise on
No,
law?
I don't.
He walked
You know,
instead.
like-
he walked up to girls and like, look at this single action army you got here on my hip.
Fact.
Yeah, when you guys
fact.
spurg out with your guns, I don't know how these chicks are gonna handle that. I don't know, man.
It's true. My point is, it's like, I mean, the thing is, even girls want guys to be interested in a subject, and interested and passionate about something, right? I'm not saying necessarily something like a weirdo, like into some really weird stuff, but like girls want a guy who's actually putting forth interest into something, etc., and can talk about their life. Obviously, you need to be asking her questions about her primarily, right? And getting to know her and truly discerning that. I think, though, that what drives a lot of Gen Z males crazy, though, and you guys let me know in the chat if you can concur, is that unfortunately our expectations for both genders, I think, are out of whack. I think guys are more realistic. I think a lot of guys are just looking for wives, and a lot of girls are, looking for a guy who's making at least 180,000 a year, and it just doesn't exist. I'll say in my circumstance, I've been actually asked out 3 times over the last 2 or 3 years by girls, and I've turned them all down, mostly because I just wasn't they weren't per se my type. And I recognize that for me, like as you guys have known, if you watch my show and stuff like this, I've told this story before. I was dating a Thomist, an actual Thomist trad Catholic girl who ended up cheating on me and hanging out with a 40-year-old man, et cetera, et cetera. It was really weird stuff. That did a lot of damage to me that made me end up being too picky. And so part of the reason I can't find a date is I've become too picky kind of as a wound. And I recognize it's a wound.
Would you date a Scotist?
Bro, heck no. I'd rather date a liberal than a Scotist. Are you kidding me?
It made you a little jaded, Nick, which I think is a good thing. Like, you need to get burned by a chick to see.
Yeah, you do.
You need to get burned by a chick so you see what they're capable of, because they are capable of some.
True. It's very true.
Women
very
are
true
capable of some dirty things, man. Not dirty, like mean things.
Anthony's in the chat at the same time being on the show.
Wait, what happened?
This is basically right out of your marriage advice video.
Yeah. You don't want to. I'm telling you don't want to check with intellectual hobbies, man. You don't. I mean, you might. I mean, some guys do. Some guys like you seem like somebody that actually wants to be challenged intellectually. I want to feel like, I like that my wife needs me for everything. I want to feel like she can't do anything without me. It's
including park a car in the garage.
Yeah, like simple tasks she needs my help with. And I feel like a man because my wife's like, babe, can you help me with that? And I go and do it for her. Like when I take the packages in, if she goes food shopping, she's like, so like, you just take care of me, babe. You're the best. And it's like, all I do is take the packages in. But it boosts a guy's like confidence and ego when his wife is grateful for him and stuff, So then I gas hers up a little bit. You gotta play that game with each other a little bit. You gotta make sure you're making the person feel seen and keeps your marriage fresh.
Yeah. I'm not necessarily wanting my future wife to be an encyclopedia. My whole point is just ultimately at the end of the day, as long as she's pious and she actually has the right motives in life, she wants to be a saint. That's all I'm really looking for at the end of the day. But if she has a brain, which is what hopefully you do, that's good, right? Like for instance, for me, I'll be honest. If you can't name the continents, which I've met college girls who can't name the continents, you're insanely unattractive to me at that point. You could be a 10 physically, and I'm done. I'm like, if you can't name the continents, I'm done. I'm sorry.
I mean, that's literally second grade stuff.
Exactly. Like if you can't spell your name, I'm done.
I'm totally fine with that. Like that wouldn't bother me at all. Yeah,
I can't. No, I couldn't do that.
I'll tell you right now, my wife was never book smart, but she's incredibly like creative, and she's just smart in other places. Like I wouldn't want a total dumb broad. It's just RTF on the continent's even real.
They're real. They're just flat.
I don't.
Are you a solar system guy?
No, I'm fully on board with space is fake and gay, dude. I don't think we know anything going on beyond Earth.
Yeah, Anthony's fine with it.
Can't Listen, here's what I'm saying. Like, I don't care if a chick is book smart at all. Like, I would rather like, you don't want a girl smarter than you for sure. You really don't. Like that, you will not.
Well,
you will never live it down. You don't want. It's the same thing as like having a girl that makes more money than you.
Well, you'd want. Well, yeah, no, I don't disagree with you, but you'd want her to be smart in certain areas more than you.
Yeah, yeah. But it doesn't need to be geography. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care if my wife knows.
No, yeah, my point.
Like,
I'm not asking if she can give me like a detailed explanation of the development of Cambodia. I'm just saying if you can't tell me this, the continents, you're done. You're done.
First off,
no, okay, that's. I would even say that. I would say, okay, can you name 5 countries? Like, let's see if they can name 5, because I've seen those videos.
And if she names Italy,
they're like Paris,
right
Africa, London.
Yeah, Andrew's right here. Men want respect and women want security, but women also want to be like that. Dude, they're weird. Like they need to be seen, but that not initially. Like initially, when you first meet them, you gotta not see them. Like you gotta make it like